Hello and welcome to Tier Zero Gaming again. I am joined today by Bryan Butler.
Hello.
We are going to be watching the Friday Night Magic Modern Horizons 3 draft from the 21st of June. So a couple weeks ago at this point. And round one, we have Ron Biermann on a Jund Eldrazi deck versus Gabriel Hipp on a Rakdos Affinity deck.
Jund Eldrazi, green-red base Eldrazi is one of the strongest decks in the format.
Yeah.
And Ron is a very strong limited player in the store. Rakdos Affinity, it can get there if you get the right cards. I felt it not. I don't really like it that much, but I'm more affectionate to the Eldrazi deck.
Sure. The Rakdos Affinity deck has its strengths in its low to the ground curve and efficient removal. If you can kind of curve your Transmigrant or the Goblin Simulacrum, I can't remember the exact Sarpadian Simulacrum, into a Cranial Ram, into like kill your thing, attack a lot.
Yeah.
The deck puts on a very quick clock.
It does. You really got to be really good with like basing like which artifacts are good enough to run in your deck for the Rakdos deck. There are some artifacts that are kind of trash.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Gabriel here starting off on a Vexing Bauble. So clearly maybe going a little deep in the hole for some artifacts.
Absolutely.
Make sure his count is higher.
Yeah. It's definitely like a filler card.
It is,
if you
but
need it.
If you need the artifact count, then it works. It does cantrip even when it's not doing anything else.
That is true.
So, not the worst filler to have in your deck.
Not the worst.
Not the ideal start for a deck that wants to be aggressive, though.
Absolutely not. I would have probably had the 1 mana black. Was it retro? I don't know. Transmogrant.
Yes. Retrofitter Transmigrant, or even this one, the Terramander.
The Terramander is very good. It's a great way to end games.
Yeah.
It can wear a cranial ram
like
really well.
Yep, absolutely. So, run off here with the Eldrazi Repurposer.
One of the best cards in the...
Yeah, just 3 bodies for 1 card, good stats.
Absolutely insane. One of my favorite cards in the MH3 draft.
Sure.
And at common.
Yeah.
Along with Writhing Chrysalis.
Yeah. Looks like we're using one of our modal lands.
That's a double your power, or first strike to a guy.
And then double a power, which is now just a Boros Guildgate.
Yes, it is a Boros Guildgate,
which is fine.
Totally fine.
These modal dual-faced lands certainly make mana bases in this format much more consistent, a little bit easier to pull off.
Absolutely. One of my favorites is Drowner of Truths. Front face, you get 2 Eldrazi spawn if you pick a colorless cast, and he's a 7/6. But
yes,
also being able to play him as a land that taps for a blue and a green is very, very good if you're in a blue-green Eldrazi deck.
Honestly, in a lot of these decks, Wizards of the Coast did a really fantastic job with making all of the modal dual-faced, dual-colored lands hybrid.
Yes.
Which means I am perfectly happy to play pretty much all of them in either color deck. So if I am a blue-black deck, the draw 3 archetype, I will still play the blue-green dual land, because when I need a land, it comes into play tapped Island.
Right.
And if I get to that late game, which the blue-black deck is, quite good at doing,
yep.
You just have this 7/6 at the top of your curve that's taking up a land slot in your deck.
Yeah, absolutely. Even in the blue-black deck, the black-red dual-face card, front face, that card is actually very good. I've got blown out by that card many a time on arena drafts.
Fair.
But yeah, the fact that it turns into like half of your colors half the time.
Yeah.
It's also very good at doing that and make sure your mana is always right.
So back to the game. Ron over here casting the...
I think he went Malevolent
Apprentice,
Rumble.
Yeah, Malevolent Rumble into Apprentice. I think he found the Apprentice off the Rumble.
Yep.
And just presenting a very wide board here.
I love the Apprentice. It's such a good card at 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Throwback to the Marionette Master. Yeah. But this one, I think, maybe even a little more powerful. 2 mana is significantly less than 6.
Yes.
Doesn't deal quite as much damage per thing as the Master is capable of.
But it checks for more than just artifacts.
Correct.
I think it's like creatures too.
Yes. Yeah, so the Marionette Apprentice just kind of has more going for it.
Yeah, especially with these Eldrazi spawns where you can just like sacrifice at will. If your opponent's real low, you can just like sacrifice 3 spawns and just end the game when they're at like 3.
In my arena drafts, I don't know if it's up yet, but there's certainly a game to be seen where a Marionette Apprentice with a sack outlet wound up getting me. In a game that I felt pretty favored in.
Yeah, it's very good at an opponent kind of like loop a Custodian Nightmare.
Nice.
With the Master.
That card is very tricky to play well.
It is. I love the Marauder loop.
Yeah, the Accursed Marauder.
Accursed Marauder loop you can do, which is kind of funny.
I don't know how much I love this attack without a trick. We gotta have a trick of some kind, right? If we were gonna kill this, then I feel like we should have just killed it pre-combat. Get in for the 1 damage.
Yeah. Because it's just like, I'm not sure which is more important here with the Repurposer or getting another body here.
Well, we're trading off with the Germ. Oh, that's true.
That's true.
He kills the bug, and now this isn't a trade. So maybe Ron was trying to bait out
the block.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
Okay.
Makes much more sense why we would attack first instead of just killing the
200 IQ plays. It was higher than my brain capacity.
Good job, Ron. You stumped me for a second. So, Ron still with his whole board, a lot of mana. His colors are cooperating. Sometimes in these 3-color decks, you don't quite have your mana come together every game.
Yeah. And it's even more difficult with the Eldrazi deck because you have to like prioritize colorless as well.
True.
And like,
though we haven't seen any colorless cards out of Ron just yet.
Not just yet, yeah. So he might be a little.
He
less
might be,
on them.
yeah, more devoted to the colors themselves. There are plenty of Eldrazi that don't require colorless mana to do anything. Including Writhing Chrysalis. And the Repurposer that we talked about already.
And even if
they
you're
just
going
provide
bigger,
a big mana boost if you need
absolutely. And even if you're going bigger, like even if you're in Gem colors, the Drown Yard Lurker that costs blue to cycle is sometimes just good enough as a 7 vigilance body that makes a spawn.
Speaking of cards I'm not sure we can cast, I thought I saw isn't that the Riddle Keeper?
The Riddle Keeper, the guy with the Emerge?
Yeah.
I think so.
So, yeah, Ron cannot emerge that card as far as we see with his mana.
Right.
We were talking about Ron's colors cooperating, but that does appear to be 2 Skoas trapped in his hand with only 1 red source.
That is 2 Skoas trapped in his hand.
So, he might have got us with the 200 IQ attack first, but his mana is getting him right back.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Ron's plan here. I don't think he's on any blue mana. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
it's probably just like hard casting the Riddle Keeper.
That's my assumption as well. We've seen several things that create the Eldrazi spawns. Getting to 8 mana in this format is a perfectly reasonable thing.
Yeah.
Coming out of green, we've got multiple 2 mana creatures that can tap for mana. So there's quite a bit going on where he can just get to 8.
Very quickly in some games if you find the right pieces.
Yeah. So we found a Fanged Flames that can clear this Repurposer without giving off an extra token. Looks like, I don't know if we've made our land drop for turn yet. If we haven't, we get to play this mountain. If we have, that's okay. I can't quite tell what the black card is that's getting exiled.
Yeah, I can't tell what that card is either. Excuse me.
Might have been a Fetid Gargantua. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
That's the 4/4 that adapts for 2.
For
and then-
3.
For 3, and then
Adapt 2 for 3 mana. Whenever it gets counters put on it, you may lose 2 life and
draw 2 cards.
Gabriel pointing out that he has Threshold here. He does have a Barbarian Ring in play.
Okay. Yeah,
So
that is relevant.
while not, the biggest deal in the world, it might do something. I almost just want to equip up our Terramander here, sacrifice one of these Eldrazi spawn, but I guess we're in end step, so I suppose never mind. So yeah.
Oh. Bye, Terramander.
Never mind.
Never mind. Wither and Bloom, very, very powerful card.
Yeah. Notably, this Cranial Ram, the dice Gabriel has on it representing the number of artifacts, needs to come down to 1.
Mm-hmm.
But we can just suit up one of our Eldrazi spawn and start crunching in. It's not exciting, but if Ron is going to sit here and do nothing, it's a clock, right?
It is definitely a clock, yeah.
It'll be a 1/2. It'll be a 1/2.
A 18 turn clock?
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
get to draw any more artifacts?
Well,
To be Affinity, I hope he has more artifacts he can draw. too.
yeah. We are forced to assume. But remember, we do have 4 points of damage showing with these Barbarian Rings, too, so that's, a 14 turn clock.
That's true.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Gabriel aggressively targeting Ron's mana here and actually shooting down one of these spawns. I suppose the thinking there is Ron hasn't been casting spells for the last couple turns, so he might be trapped with some kind of Eldrazi in his hand. Little does Gabriel know that all we're waiting on is a red source and not necessarily a mana source of any kind.
Yeah.
I can't do anything about it. I think that's
Well, we found a draw, too.
we just start blowing up these spawns.
Yeah.
So,
I think I just blow up this other spawn.
yeah, this sure looks to me like chump block.
Chump block,
Nope,
draw 2.
Gabriel really wants to hurt these spawns, so
I will draw 2
sacrifice
in
in response to
response.
the Barbarian Ring. Either way, we're getting rid of the blocker, I suppose. Though, if we're not getting anything else into play, it's not the most exciting.
No.
That's a Wumpus.
That's a Wumpus. It doesn't have a colorless 4.
Go out on a limb thinking that you may not have a big creature hand.
Yeah, I like this from Ron. Gabriel only has the 1 card in hand, and he
If you
has...
have something, you have something. If not,
Yeah, he had 7 mana available to him and didn't cast anything. Seems pretty safe that this Wumpus is just gonna...
be a
just gonna
6/6
wump.
with trample.
Yep. Wumpus gonna wump.
Yep.
So we called Ron's deck Jund Eldrazi, but now we're seeing the Wumpus, and I see the Cycling Annihilator 1
The Ravager.
in hand. So we might need the colorless mana more than I originally thought, so Ron truly being a 4-color deck here. And color requirements all over the place, right?
Yeah.
Multiple SCOAs, meaning double red, further up the curve.
Yeah.
We saw early green and black plays, and then we're seeing these larger colorless plays as well. Gabriel declaring a block. Okay.
Results.
Okay.
Just to blunt the trample damage taken here, I'm assuming.
We're just mitigating damage. That's all that happened.
That seems like a waste of a card to me.
Yeah, it looks like we've got a follow-up here, so it might be a damage-based follow-up or a Wither and Bloom, perhaps. If we had the Wither and Bloom, we probably should have just done it. Okay. So we zap it and gain some life. We have 3
Okay.
swamps, I think.
Okay.
So we wound up 2 for winning ourselves, but we did clear the
Yeah.
6/6 with Trample.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, here's another 6/6,
Here's
and
a-
this one has Annihilator.
Annihilator. And that's what Eldrazi is very good at. Is very good with like, okay, you dealt with this monster. Here's another one, and
Yeah.
this one's a worse threat than the last one you just dealt with.
Yeah, they tend to be large. They tend to be just overpowering the board. If there's any good news for Gabriel, it's that he sure does have some lands he can sacrifice.
Definitely does have some lands he can sacrifice.
So we have decided that if we're top decking, we're chump blocking. And I think Ron is just going to get to start deploying his hand here in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's... Yeah. This looks pretty rough. I'm not sure. I don't think that landscape can find a mountain. I think it's a Sultai landscape.
It is.
But we can sacrifice it to make a spawn. We now have the Dryad that can make our second red mana.
Right. Or the blue mana for the Riddle Keeper if you want to
That's,
emerge.
I suppose, technically true.
Yeah.
But I think the important part here is Skoa can go face.
Yes.
This Terramander cannot block anything that Ron has. It can only block creatures with flying. We drew the mountain anyway. So, yeah, this sure looks like Skoa.
You target the Terramander? Okay.
Sure, we're just clearing the board.
Yeah. At that
Gabriel
point, it
just
was
off it.
yeah.
Yep.
At that point, it was very hard for him to come back. Very good start for the Rakdos Affinity deck.
Ron just showing off his
Showing the bling.
foil Ugin's Labyrinth, it looks like.
Yeah, showing the bling.
Nice.
But again, like I said, for Gabriel in Game 1, it was a very good start for the Rakdos Affinity deck. Just didn't have the firepower to
Yeah, we played a
finish the
cranial
game.
plating on like turn 3. Was kind of the only thing we did. We had
Yeah.
a cycle of Vexing Bauble.
Play a Terramander
Yeah,
and
we
then,
were just kind
then a
of
Ram.
a little behind the 8 ball. Ron, not a fantastic start, but just casting spells.
Yeah.
And the Eldrazi cards on rate are just quite good.
Yes. All the way up the curve, too.
Yeah.
Like, even the small ones.
Yeah, 2-drop all the way through the big boys. The Eldrazi on rate are just good creatures. So it's just about... This match sure looks to me like whether Gabriel can curve out with his artifacts versus whether Ron's mana cooperates with him. That appears to me to be what this matchup is going to ultimately be about. So... This start a little bit better for Gabriel, not presenting a ton of power per se, but the Charge Bug does help get some damage through by giving evasion of sorts to more powerful creatures.
Oh, yeah.
And just being a menace creature itself, it's going to get to chip shot in several times.
Sorry, it was that one.
Ron announced Forest and then accidentally
swamp
grabbed
play.
a swamp. So,
Reminds me of the tournaments I used to watch where people had a whole bunch of the expedition lands.
yeah,
And you
Nobody
couldn't
can tell
what they were
what they
fetching
are.
for what.
absolutely. Yeah, it's very pretty art when you see the art, but man, I can't tell which one is which looking at the cards.
Absolutely.
Very muted. The whole color palette just muted
And they all look the same. Like,
from any kind of a distance, but when you
Yeah.
look at them up close, they're gorgeous.
yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, Gabriel off to a much better start here. Just having multiple creatures in the first couple turns,
Is he missing a land? though?
it looks like. We cracked the bauble looking for the extra land. The Charge Bug can still boop in for 1. Yep. And yeah, we're missing our land drop. Looks like we have Glimpse the Unthinkable, the Consuming whatever.
That's a black.
Yeah.
The double black.
Yeah, the Drain Lift for swamps. Meanwhile, Ron has Juntron. Now 4-color Tron.
Not 4-color Tron.
No, it's this one.
Gabriel preemptively giving Ron a token when he sacrifices a token, or when he sacrifices the land there, he'll get the Eldrazi spawn token thanks to the Eldrazi.
That's a Warren Soul Stealer. is
Soul,
that?
yeah, Soul Trader.
Soul Trader.
Yeah.
Soul Trader.
That card's quite powerful.
Is very powerful. Yeah.
For whatever reason, my brain always deferred to that card being a 4-mana card. And then somebody played it just on turn 3 against me, and I was like, oh no. Yeah, that card's just a 3-mana 3/3
Yeah.
for
yeah.
reasons.
Somebody was playing it at the PT because it's one of the things you can hit with Collector Company.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a combo. There's a loop with it.
Yeah. I didn't really care to learn the loop, but I'm like, that's interesting.
So.
So it just gives you a spawn. That's why I
All
figured
right.
I'm just gonna get the spawn off the play.
So Gabriel being very helpful and giving Ron his spawn token while he searches with his landscape. All right, we have a cranial ram.
Yep.
So we did find a significant threat.
Not having access to 6 mana.
Being able to move that onto the Pteramander, I think, is probably what we're going to see here relatively soon. Though we might be down to just trade the germ off for a real card and then move it over later. The number for the artifacts won't change with the perishing of the germ.
Right.
Labyrinth. Why? Without nothing to imprint. So.
Nothing to put on the
The
labyrinth.
naked,
So
the naked labyrinth.
still a colorless source, which, as we've seen from Ron's deck, he's pretty happy to have at least one colorless source sitting in play.
Yep.
And it opens up his landscapes to all be, sacrificed for both value with his Eldrazi and also the ability to make sure the rest of his mana cooperates. We saw last game trapped with 2 Skoas in hand and not the second red source.
Yeah.
So
This time he has a Dryad.
Yeah,
So
helps quite a bit.
he's got 2 Skoas in his hand again. I think this game.
Yep, sure looks like. I wonder how many he has in this draft. He seems very willing to be playing them. I found that I like having one on my top end,
I like
typically.
having one.
But
I don't like drafting a whole bunch of them because they are legendary.
they're
I mean,
legendary.
They do 4, but
Yeah, they have a weird version of grandeur, right?
discard them and then you can do 4 to something.
Yeah, they turn into Fire Blast.
Yeah.
So I suppose Fire Blast not the worst.
I mean,
Let's-
Ooh,
Okay.
that is if that's what you're looking for.
Well, we already played our land for turn.
Oh, okay. So you
So-
get 3 spawns.
We get three guys, 3 dudes,
3 dudes.
3 dudes.
3 dudes. 3
That's right.
duders.
I mean, really, 3 dudes. If you're old like me, you'll get that. Okay.
Okay.
First Skoa coming down, taking down the Pteramander. That I agree with that. That's the scariest thing that
It is.
Gabriel has going.
It is, especially if you know your deck is really weak against flyers.
Yeah, that's the only thing that Ron can't block while we're at it. So we're just chunking in with this this 3/3. Yeah, okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Ron has his choice to trade with the Charge Bug or the Germ. I think we'd trade with the Charge Bug here, personally.
Definitely the charge bug.
The Germ doesn't really matter. Oh,
Oh.
wow. All right.
Okay.
That's very aggressive.
Yeah.
But it also cleans up Gabriel's board. I didn't realize that was an instant speed effect.
Same. I did not. Well, I guess grandeur.
Yeah, 2 spawns.
So, apologies, folks. I would like to look up this card. I did not realize that Skoa was an instant speed effect. But so many things are happening here. If we sacrifice 2 mountains, we're triggering our Eldrazi twice because we sacrificed
A
non-token permanents.
Yep.
So we're getting Eldrazi spawn, which can turn into treasures. We're just
we're rolling. We're
this deck
rolling
is
here.
cooking.
We're rolling. I love it. I love
Skoa
it.
Ember Mage. This sure does not have any timing restrictions anywhere on this card. All right then.
I guess Ron figured this is the only card that I actually need double red for. Get rid of my mountains and get this charge
Yeah,
bug out
but
of
he
my
didn't
face.
even get rid of double red. He can just sacrifice 2 of his spawn to turn them into treasures.
Ah.
All of his Eldrazi spawn have turned into Lotus Petals at this point. Thanks to the Soul Trader.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Thankfulness.
There's a fan fangs.
Okay. Yeah, this kind of has to happen from Gabriel's side. I think. Like, Ron did just sacrifice his
Yeah.
mountains.
Yeah.
Getting rid of the thing that gives Ron back his colored mana
Yeah.
makes sense to me. That said, we have some spawns. We're missing land drops. The Cranial Ram is +1/+0. And Ron has a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he's got a 3/3 menace and a 4/4.
That's a bunch of damage every turn.
That's a lot of damage, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Gabriel making plays. What do we got?
Sacrificing here.
That is
the
yep.
vehicle.
Sure. Yes. Yeah, that's you can pay 1 and sacrifice a creature or artifact to put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it has crew 1. It is a base 3/3 for 3 mana.
Yeah. Dreadmobile? Dread something?
Actual.
Yeah. Oh yeah. As Cedric Phillips would say.
Ah, wrong person.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. This game's
Yeah, okay. Alright. A little bit of miss boops with the life totals, but everything's fixed now. Malevolent Rumble revealing to us an Eldrazi Repurposer, putting... Yeah, that is
That's
not
a fell.
a land.
That's a fell profane.
This is an sorcery instant. One of them.
One of them. Yeah.
I think it's a sorcery. I'm not sure. So which one of these things are we taking, Ron? Taking the land. The land which also signifies a spawn token. Nope, taking the Eldrazi Repurposer.
I like that. I like.
Yeah, it's
I like
fine.
taking the professor here.
Yeah, sure. No.
And notably, that does put a.
Why are we getting another?
We get the spawn for the Malevolent Rumble.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And notably, that did put a Withering Bloom in the graveyard.
It did. That's a +1/+1 counter if and when we want it.
Threshold for Barbarian Ring.
Gabriel can shock something, I guess. We're sitting here with 1 swamp, making this black consume look real bad.
Yeah. Very awkward.
Unfortunately, I've found that to be the case every time I've played this card.
Yes. Same. Yeah.
You know, I think personally I'm up to somewhere around my 25th draft, and I don't know that I've ever had that thing be more than a Soren's Thirst.
Yeah. That's what it
It's
feels
very
like.
awkward. All right, Ron taking that one 2-0. Gabriel just kind of fumbling around there at the end of the game.
Unfortunate for the mana.
Yeah, it is what it is. And Ron with some pretty good plays there. We have our second Rakdos Affinity deck for round number 2, this time piloted by Jacob Touchton, and then Aidan Gaskins playing mono blue.
Yeah, I played against Aidan in this draft round 1. I had no idea what he was doing.
Okay.
And then I realized
he won
that his deck-
apparently.
Yeah,
so-
yeah, he definitely beat me.
So he's got to be doing something.
Yeah. I thought he was a 2-color base, and he was definitely just on
Yeah.
mono blue with a bunch of counter spells, and I think he had a Tameo in his deck.
That's a good reason to make sure you're casting your Tameo on turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely. His deck was kind of insane.
Fair enough. I find personally, in my opinion, my experience, the 23rd best card in the color that you are based in is probably weaker than the first best card of the second color that you could probably play with like 5 or 6 lands of that color type.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I'm inclined to think that you should probably just play the second color and just play the best couple cards out of a second color rather than monocolor.
Yeah.
But then again, like I have my prime example of this was back in Kaldheim. I drafted a mono white 14 land deck where my curve stopped at 3. And because I was mono white, I could afford to go that low on lands because I only needed 2 lands realistically to operate.
Yep.
And I don't ever have to worry about not drawing the correct colors because I'm a monocolor deck.
Right.
So there are certainly a time and a place for monocolor decks in Limited.
Especially in a set like Kaldheim where mana fixing was notoriously bad.
No, Kaldheim had fantastic
Did
mana
it?
fixing. The whole snow archetype was in Kaldheim.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff just found snowlands or snow permanents.
Uh huh.
That's fair.
Yeah.
My apologies, folks.
Kaldheim, for my money, was one of the best limited formats of all time. The fact that you could do anything from monocolor to 5-color, and all of it was viable.
My
made that
apologies,
format
folks.
good.
That just really shows how much Kaldheim draft I played.
You missed out.
Yeah, I did
Maybe
not play a whole
they'll
lot.
have a flashback draft on Arena sometime, and you can.
Yeah, right now they're doing like Throne of Eldraine, which is a little weird.
Sure.
Okay, cycling the Ravager here.
All right. So this Rakdos Affinity deck with a much more aggressive start than what we saw last round.
Oh yeah.
We have 3 artifacts in play. We have evasion. We have a recursive threat. We have a piece of equipment that makes everything we play threats. And we've played our first 3 land drops with a removal spell to boot. Mm-hmm. This is what I want to be doing if I'm on the Rakdos Affinity deck.
Absolutely.
So, Aidan here looks like the shapeshifter. Yeah.
Shapeshifter.
So what are we choosing? All right, so Aidan making a 0-12. We just we would like to block this cranial ram in perpetuity. That appears to be the goal. Block the cranial ram. All right. Another glimpse. What do you think about glimpse in these like lower to the ground aggressive decks? I'm not the biggest fan. I like this card a lot more when the spawns really matter.
When they actually do something, yeah. I like drafting them, like if I'm in like the Temur Eldrazi deck or if I'm in the green-red Eldrazi deck.
Okay.
If you're in the aggressive decks, like the red-white energy deck or whatever, like people may say, it gives you bodies that you can block with, but like the spawns are not really adding to your game plan.
Yeah, generally speaking.
Unless you like really need like a boost of mana or whatever, but
I'm guessing that cat is meant to be Eldrazi spawns.
Eldrazi spawns.
Yeah. There's 2 of... Yeah, it's got to be the Eldrazi spawns from the glimpse, the end of turn resolution. So we flipped 3 cards, we got a land drop off it, and we got 2 bodies. Now, notably, in at least the Affinity deck, those spawn while 0/1's base sure can pick up cranial rams and various other equipment.
Sure can.
So they are not useless by any means, but just not necessarily at their best.
No, they're definitely like in the Eldrazi deck. You can just play the glimpse on turn 3 and be like, yeah, okay, I can't cast any of these cards, but next turn I have 7 mana to work with, which just lets me play a gigantic thing on turn 4.
Yeah, it just feels like you're using every part of the card in the Eldrazi decks and only like kind of getting value if it's a non-Eldrazi deck. And I could be wrong, but that's just been my experience so far.
Yeah.
Anecdotal though it may be. So we have emerged a Riddle Keeper through our 0-12. A 5/5 also going to do a good job of locking down the threats here.
I think you put an utter insignificance.
Utter insignificance on the
bug.
charge bug, so it is a 1/1, no menace, no energy payoff.
No energy payoff.
Transmigrant and the Germ were locked down by the Riddle Keeper, stun counters being removed when Jacob goes to untap. Okay, we are using one of our spawn for a new charge bug. So I guess we have other plans for our colored mana. Okay. Moving some tokens around. So we have 2 energy now. We flipped over the cat that was a spawn and put a different card down to represent the spawn. Okay. Soul Trader. I think we needed to pay 1 more mana for that, right? Sacking the Germ to make a treasure. I think... Alright, hang on. We paid 1 red and a spawn for a charge bug.
Do we?
Yeah,
I think we're short of mana here.
well, no, we're okay. But we should have had to pop that treasure to do everything that we wanted to do here. So we played a red and a spawn for a charge bug. Then we paid black and a spawn for a soul trader, and we should have had to pay a second land plus the spawn, if that's what we were going to do. Then we sacrificed the germ from that was stunned a minute ago for treasure, so that and then cast the cranial ram. So we should, realistically, the only thing that should be true is we have one less treasure. But we could have done all the things we did that turn. But yeah. That Soul Trader maybe gonna go a little hard. I love that card. That pigeon.
The rat with wings.
Yeah, it's a pigeon.
Yeah, it's definitely a pigeon.
1 mana, 2/1 flying. Please discard a card. If you can't, I'll draw a card. Seems pretty good to me.
I had a draft where I was on the Rakdos Affinity deck that had triple Cranial Ram, triple Rat with Wings.
Let's go.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think I was on double Furnace Dragon at my top end.
Okay. So those cranial rams representing a ton of power. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that 7?
Is it 7? Oh, because he has treasures. Yeah.
Yeah. So it actually coming up that we should have one less treasure than we actually have. This should have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we should have had one less power, which means 7 power total. It should not have been able to trade with both the 5.
The 5/5 and the 03. Yeah. No.
Yeah. That said, clearing the 5/5 and leaving the Tameo behind, not terribly relevant in that case, I don't think.
No.
Aidan pretty far behind the double cranial ram with the Soul Trader.
Yeah.
Realistically, if we wanted to get our numbers up, we could have sacrificed the germ to make another treasure, move the second cranial ram onto the transmogrant, and made the same attack,
Yep.
but giving the transmogrant menace, and then we have the extra treasure.
Yep.
So there was a misplay. We shouldn't have had the extra treasure that we had. Then again, we also paid 2 energy to give a thing menace with a charge bug instead of only 1.
Right.
So, we're doing some favors for ourselves and beating ourselves up a little as well. So, yeah, we'll have a chat with Jacob and clean up a little bit of this play later.
Little misstep there last turn. Jacob cast a cranial ram, and Aidan tried to counter it with the consign to memory.
Okay.
The ram is not
Yep.
a colorless spell.
Yeah, Aidan very quick to try to counter anything that Jacob is doing here. Which makes sense. He's already a little bit behind the 8 ball here.
Yeah.
Transmogrant into cranial ram is, I'll take that start.
That is a very, very fast clock.
But yeah, the consign to memory does not, in fact, counter a colored artifact.
It does not.
Utter insignificance not really looking so good on a 0/0 germ and a 1/1 transmogrant. Though I suppose exiling the transmogrant isn't the worst feeling.
I think that.
Is junk?
I think it's a death trigger.
Yeah, I thought it was a death trigger. Either way, it's getting countered by this consign.
Yeah. So
Like I said, Aidan just looking for literally anything he can target. Wow. So the axe coming down, making 2 energy, equipping itself to the germ, buffing up the cranial ram.
Yeah.
That germ is now currently sitting at 5 power. And if you kill it, who cares?
Who cares?
It's a germ.
Yep.
Move these equipment over to this other thing.
This is the classic counter magic against aggressive strategies.
Yeah, we had 2 threats on the board before the counter magic was even online.
Is that a Furnace Dragon you just played there?
It is, with Affinity.
Yeah, this game is.
We're in
We're
for
about
7.
wrapped
We
up.
have a dragon. This is looking to be a very quick game, too. Do we have any energy sitting there? Looks like we can buy ourselves, like,
A turn?
a tiny bit of a turn here. Yep, tap everything, stun counters,
Yeah.
just those two.
Energy to do it. Save me a turn. Or go.
Did we have 3 energy?
Stun counters.
Does that make 3 energy when it comes?
It doesn't make any energy.
So, he played in the tune. Oh,
And then the Aether Spike,
Aether
I think.
Spike.
So we had... I thought he only had 2 energy remaining. I could be wrong. I like this. Yep, that's adorable.
Yeah, I love
so
that.
we just play the Soul Trader, sacrifice the Transmigrant, and immediately bring the Transmigrant back with +1/+1 counters.
Love that.
So we just have a bigger body. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jacob, a very aggressive start
Very-
versus some counter magic that just doesn't matter.
Nope.
So we come into round 3. We've got Ron back on camera again, so clearly he won his round 2 as well. Versus Lewis, who is our limited leader at the moment. 12-week season. We have a leaderboard. And Lewis is, I think he cannot show up for the last 2 weeks and still claim this one.
I think so,
He's got a
too.
pretty good lead.
Plus, he's got perfect attendance too. So,
Yes.
so even if he does show up and he bombs the next 2 drafts, he's totally fine.
Yeah, but he should be getting a bye in our invitational thanks to
Yeah.
his first place.
Absolutely.
So, and like I said, I don't think he even needs to show up in order to secure that bye.
Yeah.
Perfect attendance will allow an extra invite, though.
That is true. Yeah. But like I said before, Ron, a very good drafter here at this store.
Absolutely.
Lewis, one of the probably the best drafter here if you're not playing. So
I appreciate that.
I find myself a little under these 2 here.
That's okay. Limited, best way to get better at Magic anyway. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love this limited format.
This
It's
format
been a
has
lot of
been
fun.
very fun. There's been a lot to explore, a lot of different archetypes, some cards that don't necessarily look good on the surface
Yeah.
that combo very well with other cards in the format. And, some of these engines that you can create out of what were seen as unplayable cards.
Like Molten Gatekeeper and Yellow Eldrazi deck is kind of.
Yeah, Essence Reliquary with a Cursed Marauder. Have you seen that one yet?
Oh no, I haven't seen that. I have not seen that yet.
What if I edict you every turn?
That sounds awful. That sounds absolutely heinous. I don't want to be any part of that.
We had to throw our it happened the first time, and we're like, oh, all right, I need to do something about that. So we had to set up where we were playing a body to incite our opponent to edict us so that we could kill the Marauder with the trigger on the stack.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, we just kind of had to let our thing die in order to make sure the Marauder also stayed dead.
Yeah.
But no, there's a lot of cool interactions in this format. A lot of stuff that's been fun to play. So Lewis, we've got his deck titled as Sunny Gruul. Basically, we're a Gruul deck with a very light white splash. As opposed to Ron, where we saw him in round 1, is a true 3-color deck. Yeah. So if you ever see my titles look a little bit silly for deck names, it's just because I'm trying to adequately represent whether a deck is a splash of a color or an actual honest-to-God 3-color or 4-color or whatever number.
So I'm assuming the first land that Lewis played was the green-white.
Yeah, it's the aura that gives +1/+1 for creatures and enchantments.
That card is sneakily good.
It can close out a game,
Yes.
real fast.
Yeah.
But also, and we've talked about this, just being one of these dual-colored, modal, dual-faced cards, it's fantastic. All right, so Lewis, probably the best turn 4 creature in the format, just Writhing Chrysalis.
Nothing came out of my ear.
So Writhing Chrysalis for Lewis. We've got our 2 little guys, 2 little fellers. The Chrysalis looking to just be a huge roadblock for Ron. Ron following up with the color though, the 7/5 with a very good landfall ability.
Another very good Eldrazi card.
Yep, more good uncommons out of the Eldrazi deck, turns out. So, let's see how Lewis wants to move around from here.
Yeah, Eldrazi definitely pushed heavily in this set.
Absolutely. Interestingly, there's a couple that were pushed for constructed play. You know, not Breaker of Creation. Sorry, Devourer of Destinies
Oh yeah.
is combos very nicely with any deck that wants to play Ugin's Labyrinth. Just by virtue of being able to dig you for the labyrinth, so that you're not locked into keeping necessarily weird hands, and then being able to be exiled by the labyrinth until you get it back, so that you can play it later. Just a very good duo of cards there. And then
very good,
I
yeah.
would say the Myco spawn, also very very good for
He's
constructed.
the guy that searches for a land when it comes into play.
Yeah, think of him almost like a mini Primeval Titan.
Yeah.
But he can. That card also exiles a land from your opponent. So in the mirror matches, that card does quite a bit. And then for limited, you know, we're talking about things like Writhing Chrysalis and the color, the repurposer, just like a lot of these very good brood scale, cheaper
Breaker of Creation.
Yeah,
is another
the
big
Annihilator.
one.
Yep. So we found out why Lewis is splashing white. We had the Scurry of Gremlins on his turn, and following up a Writhing Chrysalis with a Scurry of Gremlins, making 5 energy, is
Also, Scary Gremlin's like one of the strongest things to do.
Yeah,
for the red-white
absolutely,
energy deck.
absolutely. But yeah, just Lewis being able to he's cast 3 spells this game. He killed Ron's Witness. And then put 5 creatures into play and has 5 energy. Notably, one of his creatures can just kill you by itself. That's a lot for 3 cards.
That is a lot for 3 cards.
So we're seeing kind of like why the Chrysalis is so prevalent in this format, and why we've got so many different things. I like sacrificing the spawns here to cast this Oozewag. It leaves us up with our colored mana so that we can represent cards in our hand. We can use the Oozewag to adapt if we want to.
If you want to, yep.
And we also have the ability to just use our energy from this Scurry of Gremlins if we want to give the Oozewag haste while we're at it.
And let's print cards to make Chrysalis even better, giving it trample now because the Oozewag gives modified creatures trample.
Yeah, so the big thing here is that it has +1/+0 from the Scurry activation. So it will trade with the color.
Yeah.
So Lewis doesn't have to spend his mana here if he doesn't want to.
Does the trade happen?
Oozewag is a 5/4 as it stands because of the Scurry activation.
Yep.
I like if Ron has something to do, then make him do it first.
Right.
So
I like that.
I like no play from Lewis there. He
Yeah.
could have adapted, but there's no reason to. This trade happens either way.
Yep.
He gets in 2 points of damage if the adapt goes through, but he's opening himself up to removal or a response from Ron. I like just passing the priority there.
Yep. Very poised play there, because sometimes some players that are not very...
You
don't
see
play
that
with-
you have a thing and you just want to do the thing.
But then you end up just like...
Running
they
it.
traded anyway.
Yeah.
Now you just spent mana to do the same, to basically get the same effect.
Correct. So Lewis following up with another card that is a 2-for-1 or better. Lewis just, getting a lot of value out of his deck. Ron with the biggest threat in play at the moment. This we are at 5/6 territory. Okay.
Oh yeah, let's go.
That's
Oh yeah.
okay. I do think Lewis needed to tap a red mana here. There's okay.
Layla?
So I believe, unless I'm missing something, because we cast the Writhing Chrysalis and the Lelia, that Lewis should have a forest up or the green-white land up. But yeah, we can just kind of get aggressive here. Trigger the Lelia. What do we got? Sure, that land is going to stay over here. I hope we're not trying to cast a 1 red mana thing out of our hand, because then we have spent more red mana than we have access to, and that's bad. 3,
So Lelia
4,
is
5. Yep, those are
4,
gremlins, remember. Just a 3.
A 3.
Right, she's a base 2/2. She got the +1/+1 counter for exiling the mountain. So We're chump blocking the first Writhing Chrysalis. The Gremlins are getting in. The Lelia's dead. And pass the turn.
Again,
Yeah, that's fine. Like, we're just whittling down Ron's board, and we're from Lewis's side, we're just super wide. And now we have the biggest thing in play. The Writhing Chrysalis, the first one at least, bigger than the Hunted Wumpus. Anyway, which 4-drop are you pack one pick wanting?
probably the Chrysalis.
Oh, but what about the uncommon? It's a higher rarity. It's got to be better, right?
No.
Oh.
In this case, no. I take Writhing Chrysalis above some rares and mythics in this set because that card is just that good.
It
It's
is.
definitely the most powerful common in the set by a long shot.
True.
And it definitely has one of the highest win percentages in MH3 drafts.
Yeah, 17lands.com. Yeah, no, you're correct. Writhing Chrysalis has the third highest when played win rate in the set. The fourth highest, behind Guide of Souls at number 1.
Yeah, that
Which-
card's insane.
Yeah, Amped Raptor at number 2,
Another insane card.
and what was number 3? It was a mythic. Flage. Flage at number 3.
Well, yeah, because those cards are insane.
Yeah.
And they all go in the same deck, kind of.
Yeah. And Writhing Chrysalis is only behind those 3 cards.
So you have an absolute bonkers mythic
An absolute bonkers rare,
and a
hyper value uncommon.
yeah
Yeah. That costs 2 mana.
that costs 2 mana.
That costs 2 mana. Yeah.
That could actually like put something else in play.
Yes.
When it,
Yeah. So, for very clear reasons, Writhing Chrysalis is just an absolute beating.
I
Like,
went
Ron's
against
sitting
a,
over here with a lot of mana and a 6/8 in play. Like,
Yeah.
he has a 6/6 and a 6/8, and he has not the biggest creatures in
right,
play.
which is insane.
That said, they're big enough to make Lewis's attacks bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's worth something at least.
And Ron again with the Skoa Ember Mage stuck in his hand.
I believe, yeah, he's got the Soul Trader, so he can cast it if he wants to.
Yeah.
He can turn.
Make this into
Okay.
a red, I'm assuming.
He could have turned the spawn token that he got from the
that he got from the
pig,
Tusker.
The Tusker, yeah.
Yeah.
He could have turned the spawn into a treasure and then cast the Skoa. But what are we even shooting with the Skoa here?
You're probably not.
Yeah, like
Because Repurposer just gives you
Replaces
a spawn
itself,
that,
and
that
that just grows
sacrifices
both
to
of
the
the-
Chrysalis. And-
exactly. So I think we're just in a waiting game. I love this attack.
Absolutely.
Like we don't care if this thing dies.
Nope.
Like we don't even care a little bit. And Ron is at a low enough life total that he can't really afford.
Yeah, he can't afford to take the hit here.
Yeah. So, that said, looks like he just flipped a Transmigrant back into play. Sorry for the noise there, folks. My gremlins are running amok.
The ones you got from the Scurrier Gremlins.
No, they're louder. But no, Ron having done a pretty good job of like stabilizing the board here. He's in no position to be attacking,
No.
but he's also not really in a position where he's getting attacked. And now we just kind of get to trade these 3 damage attacks back and forth. Transmigrant gets in, Repurposer gets in. Lewis aggressively chump blocking here. I'm not sure there was a need to chump block from 17, but I suppose Ron is showing, 12 15, 18 power.
18 power.
So if there's some crazy play that maybe Lewis isn't thinking of, for all we know, Ron is somehow splashing the suppression ray.
To make his mana even more awkward.
Yeah, well, we can make treasures.
That's true.
Like,
Yeah, with the soul water, like, I can play everything.
all right, so we decided this time to trade.
Yeah.
The Transmigrant's going to come back, but this spawn token represents larger writhing chrysalises.
I think the spawn token's more valuable here than getting the Transmogrant back. Because this one spawn is just going to add 2 power to the board because of the chrysalises.
Yeah, I agree.
Making treasure too.
Oh, I like this play
Oh,
too.
I like that.
Yeah, get back the Transmigrant so that we can sacrifice it and draw a card to clear the biggest of the writhing chrysalises.
Very
Ron-
heads up play there.
Really clawing his way back. He can also bring back the Transmigrant again this turn.
Yeah.
He just has a lot of mana and is just slowly but surely clawing his way back into this game.
The Soul Trader Transmigrant kind of like loop kind of engine here has been very nice for him.
Yeah, so far the Transmigrant has been popped in combat, I think, every time except maybe once. Lewis with more fat.
Is that a Drowner?
Yep,
Ugh.
just more fat. More large creatures.
Eldrazi do Eldrazi things, man.
It's true, but we still don't really have any good attacks. Like the Writhing Chrysalis, if it crashes in, is just going to trade for one of these 6 power creatures that Ron has, and that's it. It turns out when you can put 12 power in front of something as a double block with 14 toughness, it's not easy to just punch through.
That's true. Did he bring back the wrong?
He did. I'm sure he's going to fix it momentarily. Ron announcing the Transmigrant, but accidentally grabbing the removal spell.
Oh, the removal spell.
I'm sure he'll notice eventually.
There we
Or
go.
Lewis will notice.
There we go. There
All
we
better.
go. Okay, we got
Everything's
it.
fine.
We got it.
I mean, I knew what it was. I was just
We'll just have a little chuckle with our players,
Yeah.
laughing about. We all knew what was happening. We just grabbed the wrong card. All right, so Ron's still not in a position to attack. His blocks still look fantastic. The Skoa still just hanging out in hand, waiting for something that's worth shooting, which ultimately might wind up being Lewis at some point. If we can get this game close and finish it off with Skoa, that's
There's a third one?
that's 3 chrysalises. Wow.
At this point, I'd just be demoralized.
He can just kind of give +5/+5 permanently to 2 different creatures at instant speed. That's wild. This card's very good. And it's even better in multiples.
So,
A second Oozewag.
so Ron ended in Jun Eldrazi and did not get a single Chrysalis, while Lewis is not on Eldrazi.
Well, he is on straight Gruul, basically, right? That's a line breaker,
There's a
too.
line breaker? Oh my.
Okay.
Nice deck.
It's very powerful. So how many Eldrazi do we control? Like, we did go hard sacrificing a bunch of these Eldrazi this turn to this line to get this line breaker and Chrysalis into play. I wonder if it wasn't worth slow rolling it just a little bit to have more of the spawns available for the
Right.
line breaker trigger.
Yeah.
And then we still have the sacrifice available whenever we want it.
1,
But
2, 3, 4, 5.
I want to say, okay, so Lewis targeting the newest Chrysalis, and just getting in with the newest Chrysalis. I believe he said 11 power.
And it
So
has
1,
trample.
2, 3, 4, 5. So +5. It has 4 counters is 9, and 2 base power is 11. Yeah, they are both modified creatures, so they have trample thanks to the Oozewag. So we have an 11 power trampler with haste from the back Chrysalis, and the front one is an 8 power trampler with the ability to still sacrifice 1 more.
Yeah.
Scion.
to give them both pumps. Yeah.
So Dryad with Death
Dry
Touch.
Eye with Death Touch.
But
He's still taking
pick one.
He's still taking a boatload of
Double
trample
block.
damage here.
Yeah, we're taking, like, if that's our only block, we're literally dead on board. So we can't do that. We got to do more. Okay.
Okay.
Double block the one that isn't getting hit by a Death Toucher to try to clear that as well. And now this is, we were talking about Ron having
I take no damage from this one.
the biggest thing, or making it difficult for Lewis to block.
Yeah.
This attack is very close to clearing out all of it. I think we're a little short with the front one. We have 8 power as is. We can give 1 extra +1/+1 counter. So I think we want to clear the Tusker here because it opens up our 7/6 to be able to attack. Or at least attack and trade. Whereas if we leave the Tusker, there's a 6/8 sitting in play. Yeah, so
Yeah.
Lewis making it very clear which creature he wants to. Yeah, no trample coming through on the front one. The back one has 5
5.
in front of it, so that's 7. He's taking 7 there. Yeah, down to 9. So both Chrysalis is dead. Ron's board effectively wiped out.
Yeah.
We still have a 7/6, an Oozewag that can turn into a 6/6,
Yeah.
and the line breaker that, even though like Lewis's board is diminished, is still
That's a very good
That's a-
horrific assault.
good horrific assault from Ron. And now Sko, it's time to shine. We found something worth killing.
Yeah. Get that line breaker out of here.
Ron deciding between the line breaker and the Oozewag. I like killing the Oozewag here.
I do too.
The line breaker is a lot less scary when there's when we've gone up to 5 and there's no other Eldrazi in play. That said, this is a very aggressive attack because now Ron is dead to any large creature.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I
we
would have.
take this hit, we go to 9, or we take 9.
I probably would have left the Wampus back here.
Leave something back. Leave a second creature back, I think.
Yeah.
Because right now, Lewis can eat that. Remember, that's a gremlin.
That's a gremlin,
The
yeah.
token.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Take 6.
Sure. So now, I don't think
You got a reader.
it's not bad. I think that's a root. Yeah,
Brute
basking brute scale.
Adapt immediately.
Yeah, absolutely adapt immediately. It makes the line breaker trigger that much better.
Yeah.
So now the brood scale can attack. It's +3, right?
Yeah.
So we target the brood scale gets +3, and then we attack with both. And then the Sko is forced to chump the brood scale. I mean, trade with it, sure, but we're getting in 4 damage that way. We chose not to. So this is trample for 2. Does the line breaker not give trample as well? It just has trample.
I think it itself has trample.
Yeah, so it gives it doesn't give trample, it just gives haste.
Yep. Gains haste and +X/+0.
Sure. Ron kind of learning his lesson from that last combat and leaving back the Wumpus this time. So, this game has had some wild swings back and forth.
Absolutely.
We went from a very cluttered board to a giant attack that cleaned up basically all of it. And okay, Ron just announcing that he's doing the thing. He had 4 mana open and
Is
untapping.
that a repurposer you
Hey.
just drew?
That's more bodies. That's more blockers.
That is a very good draw.
I mean, that is functionally 3 jump blockers. And with the Wumpus reigning supreme on this board,
You just get in for 6 here?
absolutely, yeah, I like this.
Oh, I like
get in.
just get in, yeah.
Yeah, at this point, Lewis is at 8. He has to block 2 of these things. Trade there, jump there, take 6 down to 2.
Yeah.
And now Lewis's board is completely cleaned up. What gets us out of this? A flying creature that makes energy and has 4 power. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ron, wow, well played, Ron.
Yeah.
It sure looked to me like Lewis was in a pretty commanding position for a good chunk of that game, and Ron just never really gave an inch
Right.
and really kind of clawed his way back into that one.
I definitely give him props for slogging through 3 Writhing Chrysalises.
Yeah. Yeah, very well done. All right, so we head into game 2. Lewis has all 3 Writhing Chrysalises in his opening hand. I don't know if that's good. That all depends on what his mana situation looks like. But if his mana is there, like if his hand is 3 Chrysalis, 3 land, and like a Dryad,
Let's start casting these things from turn 3.
like I will cast a Chrysalis every turn of the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's land number 1.
I will flip the table and walk out.
Don't be mad. So, all right, both players land go to start with.
All right, Dryad.
pretty
Dryad. Do we
normal.
have a Dryad?
Looks like we're turning a card inside out. That's another dual-faced
Dual
land.
faces. There's a green-white.
Yep.
A green-white thing. Oh, that's a Drowner. That's a Drowner.
Yeah, Drowner, and the Burrows one, so just dual land. That's okay. That's fine. Again, we have triple Chrysalis. All we're trying to do is
Just
get there. And Ron also not having a play on turn 1 or turn 2 means we're under no pressure. So we can just start playing Chrysalises next
Yep.
turn as long as we have a land,
I have the best turn 4 play, the best turn 5 play, and the best turn 6 play.
basically. 1, 2. You know, if we really want to, we can. Okay,
All right.
perfect. That's we
Absolutely
got to do that
insane.
last game as well.
Yes.
Bank 2 energy and clear a witness.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we have the land.
Okay.
We have a Chrysalis.
Let's go.
That's a bunch of bodies. So next turn we can actually play both other Chrysalises.
Because the spawns. Yeah. Oh, stop. Gross.
Yeah. So we can go
Lewis, please stop.
land
sir.
for turn, 3 lands and 1 spawn to cast a Chrysalis.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the 2 lands and,
And
2
2
spawn to
spawns.
cast the other Chrysalis.
Please stop.
And just stagger the sizing of them. They don't all get the bump, which is something. Or we just have a 7 drop.
Oh, we just got something humongous here.
Yeah, it's sure. Yep.
And it replaces the 2 spawn.
Here's this. Yep. And yeah, we just get to attack with this 4/5 into a 6/6 because we're
We
showing
have
2 spawns.
Yeah.
Go ahead, block.
Nice deck, guy.
I'm like, these are the kind of draws that showcase the power of what this deck is capable of.
Absolutely.
But we do have to keep in mind that if Ron were on, for example, the Boros aggressive deck, Lewis didn't do much of anything until turn 4. Like, this is turn 4, turn 5, right? He
Yeah.
cast a Galvanic Discharge in the meantime.
Yeah.
The Boros deck could have a wide board that has already chunked in for 10 plus damage by now.
That's true.
in a different universe, right? So while this deck does offer very powerful draws like the one we're seeing from Lewis, there are other things in the format that are,
Yeah.
very, very quick, very powerful as well.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to see.
The Boros energy deck is very, very aggressive. And I have been on the receiving end of that quite a few times.
I think 2 2 of my trophy runs are with Boros decks. Yeah, I think it's 2. I've had a lot of 5s in this format, which is a little strange. Like 5s, 5-win drafts.
Mm-hmm. I've hit a lot of 5-3s.
So, I say it in my videos, and I'll always say it. The goal is always 4 wins when you're drafting on Arena. Get your gems back, be able to draft more.
Yep.
That's always the goal. Anything better than 4 wins is just gravy. But back to this game. That's a +1/+1 counter on the Wumpus, making it just that much harder to attack through. Nope, that doesn't really change much from the board as it stands. It already traded with the 7/6.
Yep.
It still trades with it.
Yep. It's still
These
effectively the
Writhing
same. The
Chrysalises.
Writhing Chrysalises.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, so we were talking about last turn that Lewis could have cast both Writhing Chrysalises. Well, he still can. Like, that hasn't changed. But now he also has a 7/6 to go with it. So, here's the first Writhing Chrysalis, not sacrificing any spawns. This resolves. Then we play another one sacrificing 2, so we get 2 counters on each of the 2 that are in play. And then immediately replace the 2 that we sacrificed. So we still have +4/+4 at instant speed. That'll go on to 3 different creatures. And Ron is just, you know what? Nope.
Nope.
And I don't blame him.
I did not either. But let's see if I had better luck in game 3, and that is also the way I'm thinking about this.
Yeah. In the first 3 turns, we killed 1 creature.
Yep.
And then we went Chrysalis, 7-drop, double Chrysalis.
Yeah. I'm also out.
We have the 4 biggest creatures in play. And you will never attack because I have 7,000 jump blockers.
Yep. And if you do attack, I have 7,000 damage coming your way as well. So.
Yeah, no kidding. So,
I'm gonna keep.
bunch of trolling in the background.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so Ron on the play for game 3. Play a landscape, make our mana work. Step 1.
Step 1.
Lewis's deck has proven that it is very powerful,
Yes.
but it is also not the fastest.
No.
So if Lewis stumbles, then Ron has time to set up his, as we can see, deck that is very capable of grinding into the late game.
Oh, yeah.
Game 1, ground through 3 Writhing Chrysalis, as you said,
3 Chrysalises and a Drowner.
and a Scurry of Gremlins.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah. I would have been disheartened, dismantled. I would have been.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Ron won that game.
Yeah.
In game 2, Lewis was on the play and just got to kind of come out and put a million game objects into play.
I mean, you have your opening hand with lands and 3 Chrysalises. Like, yeah, let's go.
This is a keep. So land go from Lewis, Malevolent Rumble from Ron. I didn't see what he picked up off the Rumble.
You got the Dryad.
Okay. So just more mana fixing, making sure his mana works. From what we've seen of
Sacrifices
Ron's deck,
Foothills
that's
here.
kind of the way he wins or loses games, is whether his mana cooperates.
Yep.
So Lewis having his base colors. I think all of his splashes are coming off of those dual-faced lands. I don't think I've seen a basic land out of him.
Yeah, I don't think he's playing like a Plains or anything like that. I think they all are.
I kind of
coming
love
off
that. Kind of love that. We've got, just good mana. There is a landscape that I think can find a white source, so he probably has like 1 Plains in his deck.
Probably.
Would be my guess. Just make sure that he can cast the thing if he has the landscape to do it,
Yep.
and otherwise the modal dual-faced cards. So, Ron getting to 4 mana first. Looks like no black mana outside of the Dryad. A little awkward. Okay, we are using 6 mana. Just SCO to the dome. SCO to the dome.
Okay.
So we are just on the board's clear. Let's just apply pressure plan.
Someone's gonna have to take damage sometime.
Yeah, 4 to you. Here's a 4/4. We going.
This is a Chrysalis.
It's 4 mana. That's the only card that costs 4 mana in the set, I think. I'm just kidding. I know it's not.
Okay, scurry your gremlins.
Much better when you're being aggressive and have more bodies in play, but, still serviceable. It's 4 mana, makes 2 bodies, gives you a couple energy. Not exciting, but it is going to make sure that we don't get chunked in for 4 for a bunch of turns in a row and die. Okay.
I forgot he was
We just
legendary.
realized that it's legendary. Sure. We probably didn't really want to sacrifice mountains anyway,
Yeah,
so,
but it still does 4 to something. So
apparently the something is Lewis.
okay,
The
all right.
something is face. Face is the place.
Face is the place.
So, yeah, so it looks like our hand from Ron's side is Riddle Keeper, Horrific Assault, and Fell the Profane, I think.
Yeah, I think you are correct.
So, I got to be honest, Lewis is doing 1 spell a turn, and they're not the most powerful things in his deck.
Yep.
And Ron is just gonna kill everything relevant and attack every turn.
Yeah. Oh, he just built 2nd black mana for profane here too.
Yeah, Horrific Assault, I like this. 4 damage, eat this Oozewag. Horrific Assault being a punch rather than a fight, so it's just free for us to do it.
Yep.
Attack for 4 again. Lewis already at 11 just by virtue of the 2 Skoas going face in the first place.
Yeah.
So even though Lewis has taken 0 combat damage this game, he is just kind of getting beat up. Sorry, I said 0 combat damage. The Dryad got in for 1
The
just now.
1 combat damage.
1 combat damage. All right.
Here we go.
First Chrysalis.
First Chrysalis.
And this does do a much better job of being able to chump block while also being a good threat. I think this Fell the Profane is about to make Lewis kind of sad.
Yeah.
I think we
Lewis
should do this end step if that's what we have.
I think
Yeah.
Lewis was like, if it's damage-based removal, I'm fine. If it's spot removal, I'm kind of sad, and it happens to be the best
we
card.
still
in the-
get chump blockers, right? Like
Yeah.
the Skoa still isn't hitting us in the foreseeable future. And Ron is very out of cards.
Yeah.
He has a lot of mana. Anything he top decks is going to be good. Chump.
Yeah.
We're chumping the Dryad? We want to trade a mana for 1 point of life? I don't love that.
I don't either. Not a genre.
Yeah, alright.
Yeah, okay.
Like, that's fine. I still think we should be, like, I'd rather be at 9 with an extra Scion, I think.
Oof.
Okay.
Riddle Keeper, okay.
Yeah.
Now he's got a giant flyer too at the genre.
And this is just we were talking about how Ron has the ability to just, like, play lands and cast things. This is just an 8 mana Riddle Keeper.
Yeah.
Like, no two, just big idiot.
Yeah, it's just a big flying thing.
Yep. And these are stun counters too, so like I think we kind of have to chump here, cause we chose not to. That means we have plans.
Yeah, it's
Stun
aggressive.
counter's gone. So what is our plan? We didn't jump here. We threw away a Scion to prevent 1 damage the turn prior. Based on no blocks here, I would wish that I had that Scion to prevent 4
Yeah,
rather than 1.
absolutely.
That's a large Hydra.
That is a very big Hydra,
It's a 7, 8? 7, 8.
and it has reach, which
Re-
is
yeah.
very important.
Reach and trample. So, here's my question, Mr. Butler. Should Lewis have bestowed it onto the Scion token? So, now, so the issue, if we do that, is that we only have the 1 blocker.
Right.
So we block the Sphinx, but we have no blockers for the Skoa or the Dryad. So we know we're going to take damage. But we're not just dead to a removal spell.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, by making it a second body, we're also not just dead to a removal spell. But I like bestowing it here because, like, in this case, right, like, Ron had the Wither and Bloom. If we had it bestowed on the Scion, Ron, shrinks the Scion, and then post-combat we're still left with our Hydra.
Yep.
It's one less. It would be a 6/7 rather than a 7/8 because the bestow cost is a second green pip. But I think I like bestowing it there, personally.
Okay.
It's close.
It's very close.
Either way, we're looking to, block the flyer. That's the goal for the turn.
Yes.
But I think this like small sequence of a couple decisions that Lewis made might have put him a little bit further on the back foot than I would have preferred to be from his seat. Chump blocking a 1/2, and then not having a chump blocker the turn after for the 4/4.
Yeah.
So we should be at +3 life, right?
Yeah.
And then bestowing versus not bestowing, we would still have a Hydra right now.
Yep.
And I think these small decisions might ultimately be, if Lewis loses this game, might ultimately be the reasons for it. Both
Yeah.
of them are like,
Yeah.
I think the only one that's a mistake, like an actual mistake, is chump blocking a 1/2.
Yeah.
I think that's the only one that's like
Yeah, I
a
think I
real
take the
honest
damage.
mistake.
I think I take the damage, and because it's just a 1, it's not like it,
Right.
it wasn't like a 4 or 5 power.
And we're
thing.
still at double-digit life total
Yeah.
at that moment.
I think this is around the time when I came and sat down next to him to watch this game.
Okay.
He slammed a siege gang,
The spawn gang.
spawn gang commander.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there and counting, and I kept it in my head. But like at this point, like Lewis just dies to the spawn gang commander.
Sure. So cast trigger, we make 3 colorless guys. We can pay a colorless mana with the Dryad and a land to throw the repurposer
Yep, to make a
to
spawn.
make another spawn. Then sacrifice 2 spawns, or sacrifice a spawn for a mana, pay the black mana. We have 3 spawns remaining.
Yeah.
Throw one of those 3, then sacrifice the 2 spawns to make 2 mana, and through the commander itself is lethal. Which
Yeah.
I think Lewis actually walked Ron through there.
Yeah, because I think when I sat down and I was looking at everything, it was definitely Lewis. Like, I think he can kill me. And,
Yeah.
and I saw the same thing too. So
Yeah. But yeah, that a very tricky kill there.
absolutely.
Congratulations to Ron.
Yeah.
3-0 this week.
Oh yeah.
Congratulations also to Lewis because that deck was nuts.
Yeah, his deck was nuts.
But yeah, I think a couple minor missteps there in that last game. Not saying he wins that game. That spawn gang is going to be really hard for him to deal with, especially with the Dryad being a colorless source.
Absolutely.
Lewis can't really afford to attack into Ron either, so Ron can just kind of sit back if Lewis is able to stabilize that board. So yeah, a real interesting game, and again, congratulations to Ron.
Absolutely.
And
Howard
yeah,
should be 2 of the best drafters in the pod.
Yeah.
In the finals in the future match.
absolutely. But yeah, Bryan, thanks for joining me for this one.
absolutely. It was a lot of fun.
Guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.